Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Badr, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Shortbox Podcast, Season 7.
The Shortbox Podcast was recorded before a live internet audience.
Since X-Men's launch, it feels like it's a non-stop event. Like, you know how there's, like, big crossover events? Like, X-Men just feels like a non-stop
That bitch don't stop,
event.
man. That bitch hard as fuck,
Like,
man.
since they premiered the House of X, Powers of X, like, nothing has stopped.
Nope. It's just been a fantastic read. And if you in it like me, you just in it all the way. So the shit been real fucking good. So that's why I've been enjoying it. And like Black Panther ended, and I'm like, okay, am I gonna read this John Ridley one? I think so.
John Ridley, like not John Ridley Scott, like that John Ridley, or
no, John Ridley, the dude who wrote 12 Years a Slave, the movie screenplay.
Oh, okay.
And
Just so happens to have the same name as John
and
Ridley
the guy
Scott.
who's also doing the what's the books right now for the other side, the other history of
He's doing the other history of DC.
Yeah,
I
those have been
think.
good.
I think
Was that
he's-
mean you was talking about that? You said you hadn't read a couple of them, right?
I didn't know it was a
Yeah,
it
I got
was,
the rest of them
like
in
a
the back,
4-point.
man. So yeah,
But he's also writing the new Batman.
yeah,
Where
he's
it's like
writing
a
the Black Batman.
Yeah, basically the Black Batman, which takes place in the it's like either a future or alternate.
Is it
world.
like is
Like
it
a
Fox's
Elseworld.
kid or whatever? Fox's
Yeah,
grandkid
yeah,
or some
yeah,
shit
yeah.
like that? Okay.
So yeah, he's starting to get some pretty big.
I
things.
think he's just coming back to comic. A couple of these people had left comic books and came back. Like the dude who writes Philadelphia is like a screenplay writer. So it's kind of them vibes, man.
Yeah, man. And I started reading. Like I said, I started reading X-Men seriously. I think 2 weeks ago. Because it felt like every time I went over to Drew's, we were chatting X-Men, and then anytime I would talk to you, we were chatting X-Men, and I felt lost. And I was like, you know what? Let me correct this ASAP.
We're reading heavy X-Men.
You're right. Let me go and get started. Yo, Shortbox Nation. As you can tell from maybe just the audio levels alone, or the familiar voices that you just got a chance to preview, that this is going to be a special or another installment of our semi spin-off podcast, Bags and Boards. It's a Bags and Boards edition of the Shortbox. That's what I should say.
Yeah.
I think we were chatting about like what number Bags and Boards this is, and we are probably in the double digits at this point.
Yeah, we're definitely in double digits. Yeah.
Yes.
I would hope so.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
five.
like
It's
9
five.
million.
Y'all come out here about twice a year, and I would go up there about once. So if anything, if we've been doing about 3 of these a year since 2013 or 14, 14 for sure.
Well, I feel like me and Drew's annual Orlando visit to come see you and record an episode has now I think it's only recently become now a biannual event.
Yeah, because I would come down, y'all would come down here, and then I would make that trip there. But
now it's. I think me and Drew actually spoke about this the last time we were here. We was like, okay, we need to start coming down in the first month of the year to bring in like the new year with you.
Yeah.
And then like the midpoint to be like, yo, the year's almost over.
Yeah.
I know, we're only here during basketball season and football season.
Yeah, y'all, you know what that is true because almost every time y'all are down
it's an
here,
NBA playoff.
It's
NBA playoff or like NFL. So that's like, all right.
Because y'all was here for basically the game that made Kevin Durant leave Oklahoma City.
Yes, we were the cause of it.
No, we was all watching that game and was just like, what in the hell is going on? I cannot believe these fools have blown a 3-1 lead.
Not like last night's game. Last night's game was pretty crazy too.
Oh, last night's game was just a murder show.
Yeah, they were just shutting them down.
I don't think none of us watched it past the third quarter.
I walked in, looked at that score, was like, they were down by 20. I said, yeah, I ain't watching this game. Like, Trae Young can't look. They good, but they can't come back from no 20. And then they lose by like 40. So like
several Trae Youngs could not come back from this.
Several Trae Youngs.
Maybe a few Trae Youngs, but
it would take 3.
Yeah.
You would need 3 Trae Youngs to make that comeback. They don't have 3 Trae Youngs on that team.
Just in case if there's any new listeners, I always like to, stick to our formal decorum and let you guys know that my name is Badr Milligan. I'll be your host today, and as you can tell, I'm joined by 2 of my best friends in life, starting with my man Andrew Torres.
What's up?
And Walter Gantz. And if you couldn't put it together,
Mr. X himself.
Yes, Mr. X himself. If you couldn't put it together from our convo every year, me and Drew make sure that we come down to visit our boy Walt to record a podcast because this is the original trio, the OG 3 that had founded the Short Box. And that's definitely no disrespect to our current lineup, which says our Ashley and Ed.
They're more in depth than I am, for sure.
They have become the foundation. But that's not to say that when we come down to visit Walt that we don't like to have a chance to go down memory lane and kick it like old school like we used to when we first recorded the show, which was very casual conversations about whatever came to mind in the comic book realm. And that's how we'll kind of treat today's episode. I won't lie. I don't got my usual outline and extensive notes and research.
Doing that today, bro. Nah.
Yeah, it's just a completely different vibe, but it's a more lax, casual conversation. I think the one item or the one theme or topic that we wanted to spend a lot of time on is X-Men. Because as I was saying earlier, you two have been really good at keeping up with X-Men. I think you guys are reading. At one point, I felt like you guys were reading every X-Men title.
I'm reading everything but Wolverine.
Okay, and that's because you are just a Wolverine hater, right?
I'm only reading Wolverine.
I don't. And you know what? And now even with. Look, I'm reading everything but Wolverine, but they're going to piss me off in like a couple in next month when they bring back Old Cable, because Old Cable's coming back.
Yeah.
But I was like, I really enjoy Baby Cable.
I want Baby Cable to stay for a while.
Yeah, I want Baby Cable.
Well, let me ask this: Can both coexist?
No.
Wait a minute, but X-23 and Wolverine coexist.
Yeah, but they're not.
They're different people. None of the same person occupying the same time spectrum.
You guys got me.
Yeah.
I. You guys got it. All right.
So Grown Man Cable is coming back because he's going to be part of whatever Al Jung is doing in space.
Yeah.
That Annihilation Wave part. Or whatever Annihilation thing is coming up.
The last Annihilation or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point for me to say. So this will be a pretty X-Men heavy discussion for the first half, and of course we'll wrap it up with Champion Season. But I think I think this will be a good conversation if you are kind of on the fence of X-Men and you're curious, like, should I really jump in or not? I think the short answer is absolutely yes. But if you haven't been keeping up with X-Men at the moment, the main X-Men line is on issue 21. Well, granted, I think.
Well, it's about to end.
Yes.
That matter of fact, that ended at 21. They're starting up with X-Men 1.
Yeah. So I think the most recent issue of X-Men that you can find in the stands right now, because we're recording this, what is this? Today is the
26th.
Yes, the 26th, June 26th. So the most recent issue of X-Men is Planet Size X-Men number 1. It came out earlier this month, June 16th.
Oh, that is not the most recent X-Men book.
I know.
As far as like main X title.
No, X-Men.
I guess it would be Planet Size. No, because that's a one shot.
Well, it's the most recent piece of It's the most recent X-Men comic that follows the main X title, is what I'm saying. X-Men 21 came out earlier this month on 6/9, but that marks the end of that art. Art. Planet-Size X-Men is kind of the what would you call it?
It's like the giant-size X-Men number 1 relaunch.
Thank you.
That ended Hickman's run on X-Men for now.
Yep. If Planet-Size X-Men is serving as a transition issue into this new arc of X-Men, who's the creative team on that?
Gary Duggan and Pepe Larraz.
Which is pretty stellar. I mean, that is one thing about these recent X-Men comics, and we're just going to keep this conversation focused on the main X-Men line.
It's a collaborative. Well, we're dealing with the line, but the one thing I've noticed, and maybe all of the different groups are doing this, but that X-Men line is like really collaborative.
Yeah.
On like a level that you don't really, if it happens in comics, you don't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen pictures of the X-Men Slack group or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're all in there talking. So like you'll see like a new face and it's like, yo, why is that new face in there?
Yeah, they really
and they've done that they did it with Al Ewing and they did it with Cy Spurrier. And I think everybody should I think Marvel should take a little hint from that. So like we'll use like the Avengers room, right? So if the Avengers room is Thor, Captain America, whoever's writing Thor, whoever's writing Captain America, who's writing Iron Man, all those people should be in concert with whatever is kind of going on in the main Avenger line. Now, everything don't have to tie into each other, but it should be like a collaborative like group because that's the Avenger group.
I agree.
So that's really all I'm saying. And then
and I think it also takes the pressure from having it all on one person.
Correct.
Because I think when you look back at some of the bigger Marvel, especially the bigger Avengers events, which tend to kind of like steer what direction Marvel exactly.
Yeah, steers everything.
We've seen instances where writers, have to alter their story because they are writing Avengers, which means they need to write the big blockbuster summer event.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind is Rick Remender.
Yeah.
With Access, like he got burnt out, and I think for the most part, like kind of played a little bit on that because that Access story was supposed
to only be an Uncanny Adventure story.
Something contained and small, and then of course editorial was like, well, we need this month's big event.
Didn't need a big event because half the people don't even like Access.
Yeah. What's been cool about X-Men is that Hickman is the captain of the ship, but he's got some stellar crewmates on there. And I'm looking at the credentials for Planet-Size X-Men. You've got Gary Duggan as a fellow writer. You've got Pepe Larraz on art duty. You got Marte Gracia on there as well. And then never mind. The rest of these are just variant cover artists, so maybe it's not as extensive as I thought.
Yeah, no. Pepe Larraz just drew that whole book. That's why that book looks as great as it does.
That's another thing. All of the art in X-Men, and I mean, I know we're only talking about X-Men, but even like the other stuff, like New Mutants,
X-Factor's art is nuts.
X-Factor feels like.
I feel like every title, the art
X-Force
is great.
too. X-Force. I love who they got for their colorist for X-Force.
Yeah,
because it feels like it never left the whole Rick Remender.
It does feel like it does
X-Force.
feel like that. Yeah.
So let me ask two questions to you two. One, is Planet-Size X-Men a good jumping on point for anyone that's like, I want to get in on this X-Men train? Could they jump in with the most recent issue of X-Men, of Planet-Size X-Men?
I think so, because you see what's going to happen in the future. That's the future. That's giving you everything that's about to come up next.
Okay.
Except for Inferno stuff.
Okay.
Nothing there happens really that's pertaining to Inferno. Except for, nothing happens in Inferno.
Is Inferno coming up, or is it Trial of Magneto?
Trial of Magneto is next.
And then Inferno?
And then Inferno.
Okay.
Yo, this is Badr. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And that I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show. Drew, what do you think? You think someone could jump in with Planet Size X-Men and be like have a good understanding of X-Men?
Some you do need some kind of understanding.
If you have some knowledge of what's going on in the X-Men, if you see powers,
you have to know X of Swords.
Yes,
for that to make sense to you.
Other than that, not really, because it's definitely going to be a hard. Like I read it twice. First time I read it, and I was like, oh okay, and then second one, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I've read it like 3 times. I enjoyed it every time.
And every time reread, it's really really good. Because once you figure out the scope of what they're doing, because you read it, you're like, that's pretty cool, and then you're like, wait. Hold on. Holy fuck. They're really doing something with it.
And then this week, Sword really kind of like nailed it in.
Okay.
It really nailed it
in. So it sounds like, yes, if you haven't read any of the X-Men stuff, you can theoretically get in with Planet Size X-Men.
But it would help if you read X of Swords because you need to know about, and I'm going to butcher the name, Araco.
The other
island.
Got it.
Because you need... That comes into play.
And I know X of Swords is collected in its own trade paperback that you could probably pick up from Amazon or comic shops. And it's in a nice trade paperback. Like that is another thing with this recent relaunch of X-Men, which, going forward, just call it the Dawn of X line, is that I feel like they've deconstructed everything about this line from we're going to have the best writers, we're going to have the best artists, we're going to have our writers, work together on a very cohesive, large story. But also, and I told Drew this, but the design of all of these X-Men, like the design of Dawn of X looks amazing, man.
He hired he got a designer to do that
by the name of Tom Mueller. And
that doc shows up.
I cannot.
He'll post every so often. He's like,
I follow him on Twitter too.
I need to follow him on Twitter.
His Twitter is and when he gets into the X-Men and like how he goes about designing it, it's like, that's why I don't know. There's something different about Dawn of X. It's just such a clean looking, like the trades. Me and Drew were talking about trying to buy all the trades because those
they look good on the shelf.
The trade paperbacks look good, man. Like just very eye catching, very clean.
Really?
Like you have not.
Because I've never even thought fathom of buying a trade since I'm
telling you, they look good.
The thing is, they collect. Well, I'm saying you don't have to collect the trades because you have all of them. But the trades, they break them down. They come up in volumes, and it's whatever comes out that month. They took it's consistent, so you have everything on your pull. So you're not collecting just an X Factor trade 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like Dawn of X. So Dawn of X 0 has everything pertaining to that. Dawn of X Volume 1 has X-Men 1, Wolverine 1, Fallen Angels 1, Marauders number 1.
And it does that for 2, 3.
And it does it for I think it's up to Volume 13 right now.
Yeah, and then they go into the new shit.
Yeah. So for people who are fans of so for people who are fans of design and packaging, I think they've got
that
even
logo
that
is
covered.
Hard.
Exactly.
The new, just regular ass X-Men logo is hard.
So it sounds like you can read Planet Size X-Men. Granted, it'd be great if you read X of Swords, which was the X event that happened last year. That was their big event.
Was it last year or was it earlier this year? Did it finish earlier this year?
I think it was last year. I think it might have spanned into. I mean, it was a 24 part.
It was 22.
No, this year. Earlier this year it ended.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the Rona.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. But it sounds like if you can read Planet Size X-Men, you could potentially be ready for the second run of X-Men that's coming out of Gary Duggan and Paper Larez. That's coming out July 7th. And I think the reason why they're kind of separating this and restarting at number 1 is because we're getting a changing of the guard for the main X-Men team. So
because the X-Men team prior to this has not been a team. The regular X-Men book has not been like a team book. It's just been a bunch of self-contained stories.
Yes.
That tie into
classic
the
X-Men.
overall.
Yeah, classic X-Men.
The overall stuff. And now we're getting an actual X-Men team that is pretty fucking loaded.
So the new X team with this X-Men number 1 that's relaunching in July is going to be Cyclops.
Yep.
Marvel Girl.
Yep.
Sunfire.
Yep.
Rogue.
Yep.
Wolverine.
Yep.
But hold
Wolverine.
on, verified the Wolverine.
Yeah, Laura Kennedy.
Laura
Laura
Kinney.
Kinney, X20, formerly known as X23. Wolverine, Sync, and then Polaris, Magneto's daughter, are going to be the new X team, which is a really interesting lineup. Like, it's a good mix of like familiar faces and classics, and with some like new, or not really new, but characters I don't think have gotten the spotlight. This spotlight at that.
Look, Sync has been dead for 20 years. Like, this is the one thing that I've really enjoyed about
a long nap.
about this restart
Dawn
and
of
all
X.
that shit is that they brought back, like, if you read House of X and Power of X, then you know about the 5.
You know what? And let me jump in real quick, because I will say that might be bare essentials that you probably definitely need. Is to
You
really
have to read that House of X and Power of X.
And I know we've said this a few times on previous episodes, especially around the time House of X, Power of X was launching, is that House of X and Power X is the catalyst that launched this new line of X-Men. So, I mean, I think that is essential reading at the very least. And then, like you said, I think X of Swords is a nice touch, and then you can get in on this.
Basically, if I had to just go through issues that I think are important
Ooh, yeah,
of
give us the Walt
X-Men,
list.
so we can go House of X, the whole series,
Yep.
Powers of X,
Yep. Both 6
and
issues.
then after that, the next important issue was the issue that started the Crucible.
Oh,
That explained what the Crucible is.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Which one? What's the Crucible
Apocalypse
again?
is breaking the.
Okay, hold on.
the-
Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go grab the issue out of my room.
I think it's like
Okay.
issue number
I don't
7.
know
Oh, wait,
why.
I got the Marvel Unlimited app. I can pull
Yeah,
it.
but I can't remember. Oh, you know what? Yeah, pull it up, bro.
Yeah, that's
Pull
the
it
issue where
it up,
Apocalypse
Chris.
is breaking the.
Hold on. It's basically this. You fight the fittest. So X-Men number 7. And then the next important thing would probably be, after that issue, the next important thing is the book. Okay, so that's X of Swords.
Yep.
Like, it pretty much, then after that, you've had Planet Size X, and then this week's Sword.
Mhm.
Oh, and then the first issue of Sword in general. Like, Sword has just been, like, phenomenal.
Well, I was going to ask, outside of the main X-Men line, what are your other, give me like your other 2 favorite X titles in this Dawn of X kind of umbrella? Drew, what are your 2 favorite?
Right now, right off the head is probably Hellions.
Okay.
I've always said Marauders. Marauders is just good. It's always going to be good. But if I had to pick something else outside of Marauders, it would probably be, honestly, Sword. Oh no, I lied. Way of X.
Okay.
Way of X is
Way of X is-
Way of X has been dope. Now, people
and it's
have
only
been,
3 issues in too.
people have been bitching this week about, like, certain parts of Way of X, but I'm like, look, man, I'm not going to get into, like, that level of stuff. I thought Way of X is dope every week. Every time that bitch come out, I'm like, hey, this is pretty good.
Well, you're pretty consistently on X Twitter, right? Or X-Men Twitter,
I
right?
follow X-Men's Twitter, yeah.
What are
because
some of the like must follow Twitter accounts when it comes to X-Men talk
that
on
I
Twitter?
have no idea because all these people be out here bitching all the time.
It's
like,
funny.
the problem with,
So you're not following like the writers or the artists. It's mainly like fans are
yeah, because I go to X Spoilers. That's what I follow.
Ah, okay.
I go to X Spoilers because if I don't go to my shop on Tuesday, then I don't know what's up.
Fair. And X-Men has been one of these, and I think that's what's so appealing and fun about it. It's been one of these runs or comic series where you've got to pick it up on Wednesday.
You have to pick it up
Because
on
everyone's
Wednesday.
talking about it.
Yeah, because when I wake up in the morning, I can guarantee you on Wednesday morning, when them comic books load on everybody's app. So let's say you are like a comicsology person or one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works because
Sure.
I just go, I'm a brick and mortar guy. So
Support your local comic shops.
yeah, pretty much support your locals. So when I go and look at X Spoiler in the morning, I see people either hype about something or complaining about something. And it's normally them complaining about, like, well,
Can't believe they did those.
this week they were complaining about Low and Mercury. And how, like, a part in that book was an invasion of their privacy. But at the same time, like, I just don't feel like they're following the story because Onslaught is there and, like, David knows that he's reaching in people's brains.
Yeah.
So he's going in and, like, he allowed them to do something. And to David, he wasn't, like, he didn't care that they were out there making out. That did not concern him. What he was really concerned about was seeing why Lowe was, like, reacting the way she was reacting is because Onslaught was already on her brain. And like, I get like some of the complaints, but I'm like, hey man, y'all gotta like let the story play out. like just this is why I never complain about the way a story goes, because we're not at the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
When I get to the end of the book, I can complain about what I didn't like about the book, but I won't complain about the book midway through the book.
Huh.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Like, no, I just want to read the book, and then, like, if I don't like some shit, then I don't like some shit. But, like, you have to assume that every comic book you're reading is a graphic novel. Because that's how they're going to sell them. They're going to make their main money out graphic novels.
For sure.
That's how they're making a cake. So you have to assume that everything you're reading is a long-form read. So there's no reason to be out here bitching every day. I'm not going to say you got to be out here championing shit every day either. You ain't got to be like, oh, this is the best book ever. You don't have to do that every day either. You can't just be like, hey, it's all right, and just keep it moving. You can't just be, it's all right. Because if I was complaining about every time they slighted a Negro in a book, man, I'd be complaining all goddamn day. All day long. I never stop complaining. So
This is the type of content you hear on Bags and Boys.
I'm not
edition of
trying to
Short
read
Box.
no shit to be complaining. I'm not. Look, these comic books cost too much money for me to be bitching about something. Like, yo, look.
You know what? That's a good point, because it's like, you can drop that book, right?
You don't have to read it.
You don't have to pay the $5.
Look, man, put it like this. I told my dude, I'm not reading another Adventures book as long as Jason Aaron is over there. And I like Jason Aaron.
It just ain't doing it for you.
And we are 40 issues in. So I gave him more than enough rope because I like Jason Aaron.
You gave him a good bit of salary before these.
I'm giving him some rope. So yeah, we done.
Thank you for sharing that, because that is one thing I wanted to highlight, was that to me, like I said, this Dawn of X line of X-Men book, I feel like it marks off everything as far as check. Like there's a box that
For
you can just
everyone.
check. Exactly.
It's for everyone.
And especially even like it's
I
fun.
told you, I texted you this like 2:00 in the morning. I was reading X-Men and I texted him. I was like, "Yo, X-Men's pretty much for everybody."
Yo, 100%.
Yeah.
But even the fan base is fun to kind of watch. Granted, like a lot of times they audition.
Look, everyone's
But-
always bitching, but we
50-year-old
live in a,
man. It's just a 50-year-old dude
It's
just
always a
complaining.
fif-
It's a 50-year-old
You know what? No.
dude just complaining.
and everybody else is kind of like, yo, book is pretty dope. Storm is out here just being like extra black.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been enjoyable. Yeah, Storm runs Mars now, but she runs Mars with the Araco people.
Yeah.
And they're like on the ultra violent tip because they just only know violence because they've been in a hellscape for the last like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So like
Only a mega level mutants exist in her crow.
Yeah, but she's an Omega level
I was
mutant.
just saying,
Yeah, so she went there. So once she's there and she's there hanging out with like mutant Rihanna Iska,
That is so good.
she out there hanging out with her. They were like, no weak people can stay here. She's gonna be like, cool, because she murdered Death in the book. And real quick, we are gonna be spoiling a bunch of stuff on this conversation if you didn't recognize.
So the spoiler warning came very late, 30
it
minutes.
came late, but yeah, I mean, better late than never.
Well, I wanted to hear, outside of the main X line, what are maybe like two of your favorite other X titles?
Oh yeah, we just ran on a tangent. So outside of regular X-Men, because that wasn't even close to my favorite one.
Really?
No, absolutely not.
Well,
that
then
would have been
X-Force?
It would have been Sword, and I don't know why I don't have my pull in front of me.
Sword
it
is
sounds like
good.
this when you want your pull. So I can just look at this list real quick. So we'll remove Marauders because Marauders is guaranteed to be most people's favorite because it got a bunch of people you like in it. Sword and New Mutants.
Okay.
Sword, New Mutants, and maybe I've liked Excalibur a lot.
And that's dealing with all the
Excalibur's
the
been
British core.
fairly fantastic, yeah.
Drew, let me go back to you real quick. When it comes to these other X titles, what's the appealing part? Are you looking for a unique cast of characters, or are you looking for like a different story angle? Like, what attracts you to these other X titles?
I'm just trying to see what everybody's kind of just doing, like on the island. Like they have all these mutant. Like every book plays its part, and it really has a good
phrase.
reason why that book exists. Like none of these books exist just because it's like we don't have time to do with anything. everything has like its own piece in the bigger Hickman puzzle.
Look, it's just a nonstop action ride. All these books are good.
You know, my goal prior to coming down here was catch up with all of the main X-Men title. So the main X-Men title. So I would have had to read because it's up to issue 18 on Marvel Unlimited, and then I would have just had to read the remaining 3 to catch up with 21 and then Planet Size. I clearly have not gotten to that yet. I did get up to X-Men number 14. And I mean, I read a few. I know I read the first.
So that's X of Swords.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the X of Swords stuff, which I've already read. X of Swords. I've read like the first 5 issues of X-Men. So there was a lot I already knew, but those in between ones that I missed out on.
Yeah,
man. Here's some things that I personally like about this Hickman run of X-Men is that he's really thought about it all. Like he's from like the island and just how he's made it work. Like they've got an economy, they've got traditions and like he's really what Hickman really essentially has done with his Dawn of X has established the X-Men as a culture.
Hickman is making the Culture 4 album for the Migos. Hickman and the X-Men.
He's developed a culture for the X-Men. And when you think about what encompasses a culture, you know, it is things like
religion,
traditions, religions, you know,
fashion.
And not only that, not only has he made them a culture, but he's also made them a nation. So now you think about, well, they've got their own economy, they've got their own politics. And
they don't never die.
Yes, and that plays such a big role in it too, right? So it's like he's got all these different facets and all these different nuances to the X-Men that I don't think I've personally seen in X-Men in a long time, much less I think any comic book that is thinking about things that normally would be kind of boring. You know, it's like, I don't give a fuck about the politics and the, you know, this comic book nation.
Yeah.
But through the lens of X-Men and mutants, it's like, and of course, Hickman's unnatural, uncanny, no pun intended, but uncanny fucking writing ability. Like, it is so intriguing. I feel like this is like really smart. I feel like this is really smart comics, for lack of better terms, because he just thought about so much. And in every title, like Drew said, is a different piece of the puzzle. So it's like, well, Way of X deals with Nightcrawler trying to build a religion for mutants. That's interesting in its own way.
Well, he's not even going. I think. Well, I cut you off.
Oh, no, all good. But essentially, like, you can pick different titles, and it's like they're dealing with this facet.
Something for
of
everyone
X-Men
there.
Nation. Well said.
Something for everyone there.
Something like you can just pick a book and be like, all right, what do I want to read? And they do a good job of like, all right, you want a pirate book? We got the Marauders. You want like X Factor. X Factor deals with just 5 friends that live. It's like the real world. It's definitely like 5 friends. They all live in a house, and they're just basically Omega level. And it's just like, all right, well, how do we do this? And then they're dealing with people that are constantly coming up to them because I want to know about the queue. I want to know who's in the queue because they're constantly trying to bring people back to life.
The thing about the queue to me is that you only know who's in the queue based off when people just show up again. Now, the main people in the queue who I really want to see, I want to see the rest of the dead Hellfire people. Mm-hmm. So I want to see Henry Leland pop up. I want to see the rest of Emma Frost's family pop up. I want to see we need Thunderbird.
He hasn't shown back up. Yeah.
They say he's showing up, but I haven't seen him in anything.
And that's the fun thing. That's another fun aspect of it is
who's coming back?
Who's coming back? Who's already here? What role do they serve? So if you've even read, if you've read X-Men maybe back in the day for a few years, you can still, I think that's the kind of appeal and fun for it. It really is X-Men for everybody because regardless of what years that you were really into X-Men, it plays into this main art.
If they got killed, they coming back. And then if they've been around, look, the Whiz Kid dude in Sword, I had never heard of. Mm-hmm. And he plays an extremely important part. And then like when you get someone like Eden in there, the dude, the Gateway, basically
Gateways.
The other one, Manifold. Mm-hmm. Manifold.
One of my favorite dudes.
Manifold is so dope in that book.
Giant Size X-Men took place, which introduced us to the X-Men that I think a lot of people like know and associate, what gave it its second win when it introduced Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, et cetera, et cetera.
Sunfire,
That story took place in Krakoa. Yep. Like that was their first mission: go to Krakoa, find the original 5 X-Men, and then boom. The fact that Dawn of X, Krakoa plays, it is literally the land they live on.
It's the use of characters who you think powers are like stupid.
Yes. They've got a purpose and role.
Yeah. Their powers have a role. And that's before I just had like half baked moment over there.
Well,
but yeah.
Well, I actually am able to resolve my half baked moment. What I meant to say, Walt, is that you brought up how the main X-Men line is essentially just one-off stories.
It's a bunch of one-off
and
stories.
I was telling Drew that. I was like, man, as I'm rereading this X-Men line, I'm noticing that none of these the issues don't really connect.
Except
they don't pick
for
up.
the Children of Walt story is the only story that basically, in essence, has 3 parts.
And I guess maybe it's methodical. They tackle some of these topics and other lines, but that's the fun part. Is that and I think it comes with Hickman comic book territory. Is that he's not going to give you the full story at all. He's going to give you bits and pieces, and things that seem disconnected now will get referenced later. And I was telling Drew, like, I have a list of quote unquote mysteries, and I'm like,
Really?
wait. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm only reading the main X-Men line. I haven't gotten to Planet Size X-Men yet. I still need to read, the rest of this X-Men. I'm only on number 14. So there's a lot of things that I have questions on. Like I was telling Drew, I am excited to get to number 18 when they address the Vault. Because I haven't. There was that issue where X-23 takes her team to the Vault, and then that was it. And I was like, and I had called Drew after I read that.
Yeah. So it only goes up to 18. Oh,
So-
yeah. So
there's a lot.
I have the rest of them in there.
Oh, I'm gonna read it. Trust me. There's a lot that I'm like, yo, Drew. Do they address this later on? Hey, Drew, they brought this plot point up. Is this addressed? And Drew's like, oh, trust me, that's gonna get addressed here. That's gonna get addressed here. So you go in thinking like, damn, I got a lot of questions. Is this don't make a coherent sense? But
If you're reading, and it sucks, and it's always everything is a money pit. Accept
come
it,
on.
just kind of just deal with it. But
I will give
Yeah.
the X team, that's what I call them, it's the X creator team, this is that, yes, you probably got to buy a few other titles to kind of get the full story, but it's quality stuff. Like you're going to get a very decent and good payoff. And if you're an X-Men fan of any, I think, spectrum, this is a must read. And that's really why I wanted to bring up and put a spotlight on Hickman's X-Men, because as someone who kind of read House of X, Power of X, and was like really impressed, but then fell off, by issue 4 of X-Men, revisiting it has been fucking tight, man. And I get it. Like I finally, I want to formally say, yo, I get why every time I called YouTube in the last 6 months, all you guys have read, it seems.
like a year. But in your defense, though, you know what? You read different stuff. And you have to read much more than we have to read because you have to do other things.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't have to read everything you have to read.
Yeah,
I
so
don't.
it's your fault.
No. It's not
It's a
his
short
fault.
box
Yeah.
fault.
No. You have to. There are certain things that someone, like, let's say if you have a topic that's coming up on the show, you don't have time to read like Excalibur 6 because you have to read like Green Lantern from like 72.
Yeah.
There, shit like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
And I always, that's why I never comic shame people.
Yeah, so if you just take the short box and make it an X-Men podcast, we won't have this problem.
I won't have
We
this
don't say it's
Don't
good.
do that either, because that would just be way too narrow-minded.
Drew, you always do a good job of trying to hone in on lesser known characters. Like you're all about finding like that B and
Let
C
me
list
find
character.
the loser. Where's the loser of the bunch?
Who has been some of your favorite X-Men characters in this recent Dawn of X umbrella that has really kind of won you over recently? Outside of the big main X-Men characters.
Out of like the big main X-Men. Definitely Wild Child.
Okay.
Wild Child is dope.
Empath.
Empath is okay.
Empath
is just an asshole.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just his whole thing where I'm just like, man, I wonder if this
I'm just
kid's
the worst person. I'm literally the worst person on this island, and no one wants to give me my props for being the worst person on this island.
Drew will give him this proper respect.
Like, you were the worst. So yeah, I would say Wild Child for sure, because it's just like I don't know much about him. The only thing I know about Wild Child is the Age of Apocalypse.
He's another feral mutant.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah,
and they're bringing him in, and he's very much one of those characters that's just really misunderstood. And he doesn't have a place, so they're like, all right, well, we'll just send him over here. The other person behind that and is Betsy Braddock.
Psylocke.
No.
Oh, she's not Psylocke.
Do not.
No,
bro.
And to be fair, the split of both of them has been fantastic.
It's definitely.
Quanon.
Yeah.
So Quanon has been fantastic in Aliens. And Bessie Braddock has been fantastic in
New Excalibur or Excalibur.
Yo,
I cannot wait to read all these X
who
titles.
was it? Was it Malice that they brought back? They put Malice in her actual body. The girl who had the choker. Did you get that far?
No, I haven't gotten that far yet.
Fuck. Okay.
Well, Drew, Walt, same question to you.
So I'll give you two real quick. Malice, I think that's her name.
What is her power?
Her power is that she can take over your body and control your powers.
Huh.
She was a marauder, but she never had a body.
Okay.
Pyro is another one.
Oh yeah,
Pyro is like
Pyro.
Pyro was like the first person they brought back. Period. He was the first person as far as I'm remembering when they started trying to figure out how we're gonna how we can use all the different powers together to bring you back. He was one of them. And everyone in the five, because all the fives are basically kind of obscure characters.
Peepers, no.
You know what? Peepers is dope. So you know what? I go with Peepers. Peepers is dope. That's Magneto's best.
I love the fact that Cortez hates him so much.
Because that's Magneto's best homie.
Yeah, he's like, Peepers, what's up? And he's like, who the fuck is this?
He was like, Peepers, my man. Okay, so that's it for me on that one.
I'm going to go completely opposite. And it's my two new favorite, or not two new favorites, but I love the spotlight that Hickman gives a Cyclops in this main X-Men arc.
Oh, yeah, because that's a new character.
I know he's not. I know. But granted, there's not too many new X-Men that show up in the main arc because it's all about, Cyclops and him doing random adventures.
It's the Summers family.
Yeah. But and Nightcrawler 2 has really won me over. I'm talking about characters that I'm definitely a fan of this new direction they're going with.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler, Way of X, I think that's a good recommendation for anyone trying to get into this Dawn of X stuff. Because Way of X is only up to, three issues, and they do a fairly good job of keeping it kind of isolated. So I say all of that. We say all of this for the last, 30, 40 minutes that you should be reading X-Men if you haven't. And I'm glad I got to chat with you boys about it. I'm going to try to get, like I said, spun up because I know that Planet-Size X-Men had a lot of people talking. When it dropped,
Streets was talking.
As you can tell, the streets is literally rumbling outside.
The streets is rumbling right now. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're at a good stopping point. But before we wrap up the show, we've got to do our last segment of the show, our Champion Season segment.
Did you realize that you were a champion?
It's part of the show where we highlight other worthwhile entertainment and recommendations that we feel deserves our attention. These could be much more than comics. So it could include our movie picks, TV series, books, or video games, and anything else we're hyped on this week. This segment is brought to you by Black Hive Tattoo. Shout out to Nick Wagner. It's Jacksonville's premier appointment-only custom tattoo studio. If you're searching for a group of talented artists who will work with you to bring your comic culture ideas to life, look no further. Go to blackhivetatattoo.com and sign up for their newsletter to find out when they're taking new project requests because they are busy as hell all the time. So you'll want to know when they do have availability. And just a heads up, next week we're recording a Black Widow episode. We're going to do a comic spotlight, and we're going to do a giveaway. I spoke with Nick Wagner, and he really wants to celebrate our new collaboration and sponsorship by doing some really dope tattoos related to Black Widow. I have more information on that next episode. But big shout out to Nick Wagner and the good folks at Black Hive Tattoo. I'm going to go ahead and let Drew kick us off for Champion Season.
Damn, already?
Because he is essentially a walking billboard for Black Hive Tattoo with his left arm.
Oh, yeah, my whole arm is done by Black Hive Tattoo.
All right, Drew, what are you going to champion today, man?
Champion today right now, if we're staying on the X-Men train, as far as just, damn, I don't even know what to want to champion-wise.
Do you want to toss it to Walt?
Do you want to toss something else outside of the Marvel? I mean, right now, fantastic. I would say the one thing I would champion right now outside of the Marvel wheelhouse that's still a Marvel is Dan Slott's Fantastic Four. And I said it before, if Hickman has written the greatest Fantastic Four story, Dan Slott has written the funnest Fantastic Four story. I think that's a lot of stuff that's really, really good. I think it's definitely flown under the radar. And what's really good about it is how much Ben Grimm is at the center of Fantastic Four. Like, I feel like Dan Slott was like, all right, I'm going to write Fantastic Four, but instead of doing Reed Richards, I'm going to do Ben Grimm. Man. I'm going to do I'm going to tell Ben's story and start up his family. Because essentially Fantastic Four, this entire run, they've started Ben his own family. He married Alicia. And then on top of that,
Yeah,
after
adopted them 2 kids.
I
right?
was saying, and then he got 2 kids. So he, in his own right, he's his own Fantastic Four with Kree, Skrull, Alicia, and then himself. And it's amazing. And even Johnny Storm is like they're giving the same tropes to Johnny Storm, but his stuff's really, really fun. Johnny Storm is definitely the Peter Parker of that family.
Who's doing the art on Fantastic Four?
RB Silva,
man, another good.
He kind of like goes in between. And there, who is that? And then Medina.
Okay.
Georgia Medina.
Okay.
So Fantastic Four is just fun. It's
They got good
definitely
art, man.
Yeah,
They got really good art.
it's named the world's greatest magazine, and I would second that.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. All right. So, and it's always funny anytime one of us champions Dan Slott, considering the origin,
That guy.
considering the origins
the origin of this pod.
podcast started with a bunch of Dan Slott slander and hate around the 2012 era. So the fact that it come full circle and Drew is in here championing so vibrantly.
Made me a Stan Lee believer.
Well said. Drew, you got anything else you want to champion?
No, that's about it. I mean, X-Men's been really good. I'm excited about where they're going to go from now. I cannot wait for you to catch up so we can talk about because the Children of the Vault essentially is the one question I remember you asking me, like when you were getting back onto your X-Men drive again, you were like, "Damn, the Vault," and I was just like, it just happenstance that like Marvel released those 3 issues, and those 3 issues are fun. I wish I could talk to you about them.
And that's why I'm going to quickly get through this X of Swords stuff. Because I read X of Swords, so it's like, damn, I got to go through this again, even though it's like piece by piece. But as soon as I feel like once I get to this later half.
Just skip past X of Swords and go straight to that book with Storm.
I'm already committed. Yeah, okay, I know, I'm committed, so I'm going to do it. So, all right. Drew, good champions. Well, I'm going to go to you, man. What are you going to champion today?
I'm going to keep them real brief. Okay, comic book wise, I would recommend the other history of DC Comics.
Oh, yeah.
It's just been fantastic. Ridley's doing it. I can't think of the artist right now because I can go grab the book. But I recommend that.
Real quick. When it comes to those, every issue is like a different perspective or point of view, right?
Different. No, every issue is a different character.
Okay, because the first one is Black Lightning, and that's the one I read.
So it's Black Lightning is Bumblebee and Maw.
Okay.
And then the
Katana, right?
Katana's third, and the fourth one was Renee Montoya.
Oh, damn. I'll bet that one's good.
So all those have been fantastic. I recommend that.
Oh, the Renee Montoya might be awesome.
The other thing I recommend is this book called The Mother Lode, 100+ Women Who Made Hip Hop. It was written by Clover Hope with illustrations by Rachel Baker. And it just goes through like the history of women in hip hop.
I am so disappointed that you were just showing this to me now.
I got it a while ago. So yeah,
hold up,
it's on the table, but my table's cluttered.
And
the other thing I would recommend is the relaunch of Wax Poetics magazine. If you like a really kind of like music nerdy person like myself, then the subscription is kind of steep, but I just love me some good old fashioned quality journalism and some really in depth writing about music. And then I'm going to recommend 2 shows that I've not finished.
I like it.
But I know they're good.
This is the watch along with Walt.
Yeah, I'm just out here on some extra black shit. So Steve McQueen's Small Axe and Barry Jenkins' Underground Railroad. They're both on Amazon.
If you don't,
they're both on Amazon Prime. So yeah,
I'll probably end up watching the Steve McQueen one. Because there's a lot of familiar faces.
There's a lot of familiar. There's not as many familiar faces in Barry Jenkins' thing, but the thing about Barry Jenkins is that Barry Jenkins is the greatest American director alive right now. He's the great, like, as far as like, how that it's like kind of like who's the best basketball player or who's this? Barry Jenkins made in succession. He made Melancholy for Medicine for Melancholy, Moonlight, and If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yeah,
and every one of those movies is the most beautiful movie I've ever watched. They all are just beautiful.
I've seen Moonlight. Haven't seen If Beale Street Could Talk yet.
Bro, that's been on Amazon. That's been on Hulu forever. Like, you need to just sit down and just watch that.
All right.
Like, I can just put it on. Well, actually, you know what? No, you should put it on.
I was about to say, would that be a good movie to watch with your boys on a rainy Saturday evening?
Actually, yeah, I'll watch it with y'all motherfuckers. Yeah. It's a very...
All right, done deal. That's a good little
some of it with y'all. I'm going to go outside. Well, I'm smoking and drinking now. So, yeah, we about to be done with this. Oh, and real quick, Tyler, the Creator's album. The Tyler album, the Her album, and Yeah, that's enough.
Well, I feel like you've met your champion quota, because anytime that we get you on the show to champion, you give us a healthy dose of comics, books, and movies, and music too. That's the trifecta. Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of just go through because I know I'm not gonna be on here like soon. So yeah.
In this Wax Poetic issue, this first one is all about Marvin Gaye.
It's a
so
Marvin Gaye issue, but it's not all all about Marvin Gaye. It's really about Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell.
There's 2 covers on that.
There's always 2 covers on Wax Poetics.
Can you buy these? Do you need a subscription, or do you need to buy
a subscription for this stuff?
I bet you if I go on eBay, it's probably expensive just by itself.
This issue, look, you don't want me to tell you how much I paid to get this subscription for this, bro. Like, you're going to look at me like...
The struggle with real prices, huh?
This is like, yo, this nigga's out here just tricking off money.
Damn, well, you hit the lottery? That's what I'm going to say.
I ain't hit the lottery. I just hit the lottery for things I like.
Well said. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. My 2 champions, I think I might have already mentioned them, but I'm going to say Way of X, the Nightcrawler series, is really interesting stuff, man. Like him kind of like pursuing, like having his own internal conflicts about, being a religious man, but he's in this situation where he can't really die. So what does that really mean to him? And having to find, at least issue 1 starts out with him being tasked with, hey, we need a religion. Like we need an X-Men religion out here. Granted, it sounds like that kind of changes. So I will champion that series. Who's doing it's Spurrier is the writer, right?
Cy Spurrier, yeah.
Cy Spurrier, and then the artist is I can never say his name right.
Sure, yeah.
If I find, I'll just add it to notes. But Way of X number 1 through 3 is out. If you like Nightcrawler, it's a must read. If you're liking Dawn of X, it's a good addition. And the last thing I'll champion, Walt, you've already done this, so I'll champion it with you. But this Tyler the Creator album, Call Me If You Get Lost, it came out this Friday, and that was the album me and Paris listened to on our ride down here, front to back. I don't think we skipped one song. So don't worry, I'm gonna get P on this mic real quick for a quick champion, because if not, he's gonna bitch the whole trip about how he didn't get to say anything. Yeah. So I will say
Where
that
you going?
I make the intro, motherfucker. I make the show box.
So I'll say that if you enjoy Tyler the Creator, this might be another great
Third one in a row,
another
bro.
great addition to his catalog. A lot more rapping on this one, but just as much beautiful, samples, great production. You got DJ Drama back. A lot of, I feel like Tyler the Creator projects are a good offering if you like, you get more than just rapping. You get like singing, you get like solid production. It's like for hip hop heads and also like just kind of casual music fans as well. Highly recommend Call Me If You Get Lost. And, last but not least, he's been kind of wandering around this kitchen as we've been recording. And it's only right that we get our man, Greg Parrish, a.k.a. Alan Fresh, on the mic.
Quick champion.
Yeah. Give us just one. Greg, give us just one champion. Let the people hear your voice. Granted, they hear your voice every damn episode because you kick us off. Ladies and gents, this is the man that you hear introduce the show with, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Short Box.
All right, man, he ain't got to do all that. Man, I don't know.
Just pick one thing.
If you can give me a movie and an album, that'd be great. What's the last movie you've seen? Well, granted, we watched Fast 9 this weekend, and I know that you're like the champion Fast 9.
No, we ain't doing that. Last movie. I don't know, man. I haven't been watching any movies lately. I've been watching anime most
That's
of the
what I
time.
should have said, because that's one thing you are heavily on, and of course that falls right in line with our show. Give me an anime and an album.
Anime and an album. So the 7 Deadly Sins just ended. Did you know that, Drew?
Is that an album or no?
Yeah, I was like, that could be an album.
Yeah, did you know that, Drew? Yeah, it just ended.
Give me a one-liner. What is it about? One-liner.
7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah, it's about demons and people, and
it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. But I mean, if you want to watch the up-to-date, where it's caught up, you got to get on the webs. But as far as music, you know what I've been on lately? Like the past couple weeks while I've been working, because now I kind of have the freedom to just put my headphones in and ignore people at work.
That's a beauty.
I've been listening to a lot of K-Tronada.
Which is not a bad thing at all.
I mean, I know, I know it's not like anything new, but yeah, man, yeah, right, yeah, go get you some.
Sometimes you're just in the mood for some dance.
Yeah,
music,
go get you some
house
K-Tronada in your system, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what I got for the people.
Thank you so much, Greg. AKA Alan Fresh, BKA, KLA, MKA, Mississippi bread, cornbread fed. All right, folks, that is what we got for you today. Walt, Drew, real quick, you guys have any parting words, any thing you guys want to say to the listeners before we wrap up?
And like that, we out.
There you have it, Shortbox Nation. That's the end of our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and a big shout outs to Walt, Drew, and Parrish for holding down the mics this week. Let us know what you thought about this episode, or better yet, let us know what you think about the current X-Men Dawn of X series if you're reading it. Hit us up on social media, or write a short email and send it to our inbox at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. We're still giving away that bag of coffee from the new Threat Supply and Bold Bean collabo. We're going to be picking one winner next week when we do our Black Widow comic spotlight. All you got to do to enter that raffle is either write an email or leave a short voicemail at speakpipe.com/shortbox, either telling us about your favorite new comic series or giving us a recommendation to try out, right? It could be either a movie, a TV series, a book, whatever it may be. We're going to pick one winner next week. And speaking of which, Ashley, Ed, and Cesar will be back next week for that Black Widow comic spotlight. We'll be talking about Taskmaster's first appearance from Avengers 195. So stay tuned to the podcast feed on your favorite podcast app. And if that's too long for you to wait, man, consider joining our Patreon community for access to our spin-off podcast series, Pilot's License. It's a bonus series revisiting classic comic book cartoons and animated shows. Our next episode will be about the 1994 Disney TV series Gargoyles. It was picked by our patron Blake Simone, so you can get access to Pilot's License and the rest of our bonus content by clicking the Patreon link in the show notes. In the meantime, Shortbox Nation, look, take care of yourselves, have a great week, and please continue to make mine and yours Shortbox. Peace.